warns you to lasting impacts.
This helps us in the wintertime when the traffic is slow.
Businesses now feeling the effect weeks after hundreds are laid off at the Stillwater mine. Plus, behind bars, the owner of the crime-ridden Colonial apartments now facing felony charges himself after disturbing details of abuse come to light. And deal or no deal?
We're talking about a possible government shutdown here in Washington.
Lawmakers in Washington try to save and pass a stopgap funding bill to keep the government open. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Russ Riesinger. The hundreds of layoffs at the Stillwater mine are beginning to have what are likely to be lasting impacts. Not only are all those employees and families struggling to cope with uncertain futures, businesses that benefit from the mine are also trying to figure out how to move forward. The Nye Bar and Fishtail General Store saw many mine employees come through their businesses, but since the layoffs, those numbers have dwindled. Still, as our David J. reports, they're confident they'll survive thanks to a supportive community.
The miners wouldn't come in to sit at this table, but they would come in here to get breakfast to go. And while there will be a loss of business for the Fishtail General Store, the owners say that they'll be able to keep things going here in the store because of other things they have going in town. Business is down at the Nye Trading Post, and they're inspired to keep it open because of the community support and for the community.
It gets crazy.
Heath and Wendy Benson sort through mail and Christmas packages at the U.S. Post Office located inside the Nye Trading Post. Getting the mail ready for the mailman and the P.O. boxes is a 6-day-a-week responsibility.
This helps us in the wintertime when the traffic is slow. It gives us that, a little bit of breathing room.
Benson estimates business is down about 40% after layoffs at the Stillwater mine. And the Bensons aren't the only family feeling the impacts.
They carry our ciabatta, our breakfast burrito, our English muffin, our skinny.
Just down the road at Fishtail Food Distributing, Katie Martin's crew makes between 5,000 and 10,000 food items every week for 36 City Brew coffee shops.
Makes me very proud.
The bakery and the Door to Discovery coffee shop are helping Katie Martin make up for some of the loss at her other business, the Fishtail General Store, where business is now down about 20%.
My biggest concern for all three of those businesses is that I can make enough money to pay my employees. That's what I care about.
And the community, she says, has been loyal to her, urging to keep the store open.
Merry Christmas.
Benson says the same in Nye.
What can I do? What can we do? Let's think of things that can make this happen. They're very supportive in that.
25 to Zorky or 40 miles to Columbus round trip just to get something simple, So I recommend try to do what you can to keep the guy in business.
Mike Buckley does electrical work for the mine, and while he has not lost business, he feels for the families.
They're taking it on the chin. I'm close to retirement, but I do feel for the younger folks.
Fishtail gets business from miners in the morning, and Nye sees miners in the evening. Two small communities now facing a new reality, with the future of the region's largest employer now uncertain.
There's so many wonderful people here. I would like to say that I'm just really grateful I'm a part of it.
I feel like we'll weather the storm somehow. It's definitely small town America.
In Stillwater County, David J., MTN News.
Coming up at 5:30, we'll take you for a rare inside look going underground at the Stillwater mine. Despite the layoffs, operations and work continues as leaders fight to find ways to keep the mine afloat. Yesterday, we told you that the future is in doubt for a controversial apartment house on Billings South Side, the Colonial. A jury trial is set for next month, with city leaders wanting to demolish it, but the building's owner arguing it's essential housing. However, that owner, John Skaggy, is now facing other legal problems after being charged with aggravated assault and elder exploitation. According to court documents, BPD officers responded to St. Vincent Hospital in early August for a report of a partner or family member assault resulting in the victim being hospitalized. The complainant told dispatch that she believed her mother had been pushed down the stairs by Skaggy, resulting in a broken hip. Investigators also found text messages from the victim to her daughter saying that Skaggy was abusing her and that he seems happiest when hurting her. The victim, who suffered a major stroke after surgery on her hip, was able to nod her head yes when asked if she was afraid of Skaggy or if he had ever hurt her. Court documents also say there were prior incidents of abuse, including Skaggy pushing her down the stairs 3 weeks previously. His bond has been set at $200,000. A woman charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of a Billings man and his infant son has been sentenced after pleading guilty to a lesser charge. 31-year-old Jane Nicole Knows His Gun has been sentenced to 10 years at the Montana Women's Prison after pleading guilty to a felony charge of tampering with evidence. Knows His Gun and co-defendant Myron Scott Goes Ahead were both charged last year in the November 1st death of 31-year-old Kenneth Morrison and his 1-year-old son to take. Authorities say Morrison's house was targeted in a drive-by shooting that sent dozens of bullets into that home, striking and killing Kenneth. He then collapsed on his son, who died of compression asphyxiation. Knows His Gun, who was present during the shooting, admits to trying to hide one of the guns. Goes Ahead is already admitted to 3 felonies, including deliberate homicide. The U.S. Marshals are offering a $5,000 reward for a third suspect, Godfrey Broken Rope, who is wanted on double homicide charges in connection with the deaths.
Well, thankfully, all the very strong wind is long gone around Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. We have some high clouds pushing into the sky, even a few showers trying to fall in Glacier County, just east of Glacier National Park. But the storm that brought all that wind is long gone. It's replaced it with a lot of cool air, especially in the eastern half of the state. I keep my eyes on some other changes going forward. You saw those clouds in our satellite imagery. We're going to have more increasing high clouds late tonight through early tomorrow. And after the morning clouds, we'll have some afternoon sunshine for you on Friday. But if you can believe it, winter begins at 2:21 a.m. Saturday. Is it going to actually feel like the beginning of winter? I have your forecast for winter and also Christmas Day coming up.
The clock is ticking towards a possible government shutdown after a bipartisan deal to keep it open fell apart Wednesday. That shutdown would take effect Friday night at midnight if no deal can be found. But as Natalie Brand reports, lawmakers are now trying to figure out a new way forward.
Republicans say they've struck a new deal on a spending bill to keep the government open.
This is a clean debt ceiling, a CR, with a debt ceiling increase, with disaster relief. Everybody should support it.
President-elect Donald Trump, who opposed the bipartisan bill previously negotiated, signed off on this plan, calling it vital for the America First agenda.
We should embrace the proposal and plan that President Trump has embraced, which is it's a skinny CR, respectful of taxpayers and taxpayer dollars, and allows this government to function and the president to govern come the new year.
The agreement keeps the government open for 3 months without cutting spending. It includes funding for farmers and more than $100 billion in disaster aid. It also suspends the law limiting how much money the government can borrow for 2 years. House Democrats met to discuss the proposal negotiated among Republicans.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
Even if the bill clears the House, it still needs to pass the Democratic-led Senate. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks says chronic wasting disease, or CWD, has been detected for the first time in 2 south central Montana hunting districts. Tests confirm CWD in a mule deer buck taken north of Columbus and a whitetail buck west of Nye. CWD can infect deer, elk, and moose and is always fatal for those animals. The disease was first detected in Montana in 2017. As of now, CWD is not known to infect people, but the CDC recommends not eating meat from an infected animal. Eating disorders are a bigger issue than many people might believe, even here in Montana. Tonight, MTN's Cassidy Powers learns about one organization transitioning to a nonprofit that helps those suffering from eating disorders.
For many folks, eating is a walk in the park. You probably even look forward to it. But for others, eating a meal is the most dreadful part of their day. And that's because eating disorders, which aren't really talked about a lot here in Montana, are a bigger issue than you may think.
It had felt like the worst it had ever been, and it didn't feel like I could pull myself out on my own.
Gabby Hedges is a former patient of Eating Disorder Center of Montana. She's been battling anorexia for over 10 years.
I could feel relationships crumbling. I could feel myself becoming more isolated. I was consistently unhappy, depressed, anxious, and I knew it all connected to my eating disorder.
Which is why in March of 2024, she decided to seek help.
I wanted to chat with and connect with individuals who really got it. I could talk to my friends and my partner all day long about what's going on in my head, and they would sympathize, but they would never fully understand, like someone who's struggling with the same thing.
Gabby isn't alone. According to the National Eating Disorder Association, 28.8 million Americans will have an eating disorder in their lifetime. An issue Eating Disorder Center of Montana, or EDCMT, recognized 11 years ago.
There was nothing provided in our state previous to us forming EDCMT.
Elisa White is the executive director of EDCMT. She tells me this organization initially started as a for-profit business and has been able to help hundreds recover from eating disorders. In fact, they're currently serving upwards of 40 patients at a time, and there may even be more folks who need the help but just aren't getting it.
There's a stigma around seeking treatment for mental health. So oftentimes individuals that have an eating disorder are really suffering in silence and alone.
Which is why, as of November of 2024, EDCMT transferred to a nonprofit organization.
As a nonprofit, we are committed to reducing financial barriers, increasing access to care, more community outreach and education, and then training healthcare professionals and our staff.
Services including partial hospitalization or intensive outpatient services, where folks can experience food exposure, cooking groups, trauma-informed yoga, expressive arts therapy, and more. Now highly accessible in our community.
When I saw this, I was like, this is incredible news.
Because for Gabby, getting treatment turned her life around.
I am absolutely thriving. I feel more vibrant and radiant. Like I said, I landed a new job, which had been my goal for probably the past 18 months, but I just hadn't been able to get myself there.
For more information on ways you can access help, visit our website. In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.